Welcome to Sharp Factory's Quick Start video tutorial series. On this first video, we're going to be covering how to create our first model and how to configure a client application to consume that model. We have already created a Visual Studio solution. Inside that Visual Studio solution, I have a single project, which is a console application. Inside that console application, I have an app.config file, which has a valid connection string. The next step is to fire up the Sharp Factory application. If you haven't downloaded it yet, go to thesharpfactory.com, sign up for a free subscription, and download the free version of this application. Then I'm going to click the Add button. In this screen, I'm going to specify the root namespace for all our generated code. Then I can specify the folder name that is going to contain all our projects in the file system as well as in Visual Studio. I'm going to leave the default. Then I can specify the indentation size. I'm going to leave the default as well, so I click Next. In this screen, I'm going to specify the model name, AppDB in my case. You can name it whatever you want. Then I can specify the SQL Server name. If you wanted to use a user and password for SQL Server authentication, you can disable integrated security by unchecking this checkbox right here, and then you can specify the user and password. I'm going to leave it enabled. I'm going to choose a database, then I'm going to click Next. In the next screen, we can choose tables, views, stored procedures, functions, or sequences. In my case, I'm just going to choose tables. I'm going to choose all 49 tables found across 5 different schemas. You can choose individual tables if you like. I'm going to choose all the tables. I click Next. Now the model has been generated. At this point, the next step is to save our model, because we can make changes to the model, add new models, remove models, but nothing has been saved yet. So I click Save. I chose a folder inside my solution just so that it is contained within my solution. I'm going to leave the default file name. You can change it to whatever you want. In my case, I'm going to leave the default, which is modelcontainer.edmj. For those who are wondering what EDMJ means, it means Entity Data Model JSON. And I save it. Once my model has been saved, the next step is to generate the code in the Visual Studio solution. To do that, we click on the Sync button. In this screen, we can choose a Visual Studio instance. If we had more running instances of Visual Studio, they would show in this screen. In my case, I only have one, so I choose that one and I click Next. In this screen, we get to choose what version of .NET is going to be used by the Sharp Factory to generate our project, all our projects and all the code. So I choose .NET 4.7.2 and I click Next. As you can see, a lot of things start happening in Visual Studio. Okay, now the code has already been generated. We're going to collapse this to make it cleaner. We're going to go to Visual Studio, collapse it. Now the next step is to add references to these projects from our consuming application, in this case our console application. So we're just going to add references to the projects, click OK. Now we need to perform 2 more steps to be able to consume this model. The first step is to register the connection string associated to our model. So I'm going to uncomment this line of code. There is a class that was generated by Sharp Factory called Database, which is a static class. If we hover over here, we'll be able to add the using statement. And database.register model connection string takes 2 parameters. The first parameter is the model ID. To get the model ID, we can navigate repo lookup.model ID.model name. If we had multiple models, we would need to register the connection strings for each model in here. In our case, we just have one model, so we're just going to register one model. The second parameter is a string, and it's basically the connection string. In our case, we're just extracting the connection string that we have in our app.config file. Now the next step is to create an instance of the repository container class. So we're going to basically add the necessary using statement, and the repository container class is the class that represents all data access to our database. So that's the last step, and that's it. Now we're ready to consume this database. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.